Some critics may say that you don't have prior public office experience.
Anybody who's a first-time candidate doesn't have experience in public office. The first time any incumbent stepped up, that was their first time. Using that as some sort of negative, something to put onto the do not vote list,
Yeah.
I think that's disingenuous.
Let's talk General Motors.
Okay.
The first question I have, we kind of already talked about. The former GM site has been a long-standing redevelopment challenge. What is your vision for that land, and what would you do differently to move forward?
My vision is that it's clean and not poisonous. Anything after that, really community consultation. I attended the open house for the secondary plan study and gave my thoughts on what I would see. I've gotten feedback from constituents. I've received the ideas of opening a film studio.
Yeah, I saw
that would be really amazing, especially now that Hamilton is getting full and the prices are going up, and St. Catharines is beautiful. Yeah. We're close to 3 airports.
Yeah. And
we've got the variety of location. We have urban, we have green space, water, beaches, like all the things. So
now 55 acres.
Yeah, yeah. So
of slightly asbestos-filled land.
Yeah. Details, right? Yeah. But yeah, a studio space would be amazing. I was also given this idea of doing an indoor track facility, like a multi-use, but like mainly track. Apparently there's nothing like that in North America. That's a pretty cool idea, right? Housing, sure, but what are they going to do besides the housing, right? So people can live there, but can they work there too, right?
So mixed use.
A mixed use, but like, again, it's got to be through public consultation, and then finding the developers and finding the partners who are going to bring this vision to life. But the first step is making it so that it doesn't poison us.
Yeah, both the people that live on it and currently around it.
Yeah.
But I think some critics of you may say that you don't have prior public office experience. What skills or experiences substitute for that when it comes to managing a city?
Well, first I would like to say that anybody who's a first-time candidate doesn't have experience in public office. So
yes,
the first time any incumbent stepped up, that was their first time. Yeah. And I think that using that as some sort of negative, something to put onto the do not vote list, I think that's disingenuous.
If someone's lived a life, right, both personally and professionally, they've acquired skills. There's human capital, right?
Of course. I mean, the qualifications to be a candidate is you rent or own property, you're over the age of 18, you don't have any felonies, and you're a citizen.
And you have 25 people that you can
And you have 25 people that sign a paper that attest to that. So I think if there was something really substantial, a substantial weight around having experience, just say around like a board of directors or, running a company or something like that, then that would have been baked into the Municipal Act, right? But to answer your question, I don't want to sound like, I have no experience. I have lots of experience around different boards, around different tables.
Such as?
Well, such as I am the incoming president for the Kiwanis Club of St. Catharines. So the club has been around, this is our 91st year, and I'm going to be leading us into the 92nd year. And that takes skill.
It does, yeah.
It takes the ability to, again, bring people together, consensus building, identifying goals, and making those plans and the strategic vision for the club to move it forward and keep it continuing. And people really need to pay attention when somebody comes to you and says, I'm on the parent council at my child's school. That is I think that table is probably the toughest.
Yeah.
I'm the
A
chair.
lot of conflicting interests there.
A lot of that, and a lot of like we're asking parents who are already working and doing a lot of, stuff in their life to set aside even more time to contribute to the school community. And I've been the chair. I've also been the vice chair. I was also the secretary. I held, pretty much all of the positions of the executive, and that takes a lot of inspiring people to want to give more of their time, more of their money, to make it better for the entire school community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who are you principally relying on for policy advice, and how are you going to build a competent team when you get elected?
So I have a lot of friends who are in the same advocacy circles that I'm in. There's a lot of common themes, right? Specifically around housing, public health. And those are the people that I turn to. With other issues, like with the GM site, for instance, I've reached out to people who have been connected to that issue and asked them to point me towards the experts. I've spoken to a senior environmental specialist about that site and what should be done about it and what the state is and what can we reasonably and feasibly do as a city. So I'm all about finding the answers, and that's how I'm building my team.
You have a plurality of voices.
That's a really good term. I have a plurality of voices.
Those $5 terms I picked up in schooling.
Very nice.
What do you see as the top 3 issues facing St. Catharines right now, and do you have any concrete plans to address them?
The GM site is the number one that I hear most often when I'm talking to people. Everybody recognizes that it's a toxic waste dump and it's a blight on our city. And if we have any hope of ever growing the city the way that we envision it to be, that has to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And it's something that we as a collective need to understand, that there is a very large risk associated with stepping in and cleaning it up. I very much would like to do a referendum and ask the citizens and say, are you willing to take on this risk? This might add X amount of dollars to property taxes, but I'm going to do everything in my power to recover that.
Like for the purposes of turning it into something that could be residential, or just to bring it back to a baseline?
Bring it back to a baseline that isn't going to poison the residents of our community.
Yeah.
What happens at that point remains to be seen.
It'll be a city decision.
Right.
Yeah.
But
plan.
Just getting it back to not poisoning people, I think, is something that absolutely has to be done, and it should have been done from day one. And unfortunately, the way the transfer, the sale happened, that's all that stuff that goes on behind closed doors that regular citizens are not privy to. Yeah.
What are the other 2 issues?
Housing.
Housing.
Yeah. One of my plans to get affordable, attainable, not just affordable, but attainable housing is tying incentives to the number of units being built. So, for example, if a developer wants to come and build, whatever, a 10-story building, just say, if they want to just develop it and make it at market value, cool. But they're not going to see any sort of development fees being reduced or waived. They're not going to see any tax incentives. They are just going to build it and pay for it.
Yeah.
If they come to us and say, we are willing to commit 10% of the units to be attainably priced, then they'll get some incentives with that. They'll get some development charges waived. They'll get some tax incentives. If they say we're going to do 25%, 50%. But the catch is that they have to remain affordable.
Yeah.
And if they suddenly jack up the price, then we just put all of those incentives that they were given right onto the property bill and collect it that way.
And the third?
And the third is community. Bringing back that sense of community is going to help a lot of the issues that we are facing. We see a lot of siloing of communities.
Yeah.
We see that with the unhoused. We see that with people who have addictions. We see that with our 2S LGBTQ family and friends. We see that with religious groups. We see that with educational groups. And it seems like we've gone down this path of an us versus them. If you're not with us, you're against us. And I think that we've really lost our way as a society, as in this community.
Right now, it seems like the city is really divided by ward, and it's each ward against
for themselves.
And against the other. And people that might be living nearby GM, they are strangers and maybe competitors for a limited number of resources for people that live in Port Dalhousie, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We see a lot of, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, right? And even just being a few kilometers north of the GM site, it's out of mind.
Yeah.
And we need people to really get back to caring about everybody in the community. If the people who are elected by the community are not showing that leadership and not inspiring people to have that commitment and connection to our city, then we're not going to see any movement forward.
Absolutely.